The following podcast contains strong language and frank discussions of violence. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everyone out there, and Michael.
Hello, everyone out there, and Joanne. I am fine.
How's your week?
You know, too long for not long enough of a weekend.
Yeah. I wish we could implement 4-day work weeks.
Oh, yeah.
3-day weekends. That would be great.
Yeah.
I feel like my productivity would go up.
Oh, absolutely. You
My
don't want to
mental
get me
health,
on that.
I think, would be in way better. I think everybody, though, really.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put me in charge, guys.
Yeah, we don't have to get on my soapbox here this early, but I've excoriated you over many, or not excoriated you because that makes it sound like you were disagreeing with me, but I've expressed my opinion on labor in this country. I don't think we need to.
We need to delve into that right now.
Yeah, but.
Hey, how's everyone's allergies? Because mine are pretty bad. So sorry if I sound sniffly or like more nasally than usual, but they're pretty horrendous with all this rain we're having.
Yeah, it's not the best right now. And it's also very windy here this weekend, which is making all the stuff that is being knocked around by the rain blow around everywhere.
Right.
Just making it even worse.
It's not great.
No. You know what else isn't great?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Elections in Indiana. Those are also not great.
So,
As people may or may not have heard, a local election was run this previous Tuesday, which was May 3rd. And in one particular county in Indiana, it was for a township kind of selectman board, just kind of local government election. A man who 2 weeks prior had been accused of murdering his wife was well, he wasn't elected. He won his primary, his Republican primary. He got the majority of the votes, so he will appear on the ballot in November.
that sounds fine.
Yeah.
That's what?
Now, this isn't like the night before he was arrested and the election still carried off. This was 2 weeks where his opponent...
the news was out that he had definitely killed his wife.
Yeah.
It's not funny.
No, but...
I don't know why I'm laughing. Well, at the absurdity of it.
Yeah, it is absurd. And this wasn't... Everybody can kind of Google this, but the murder he's accused of was exceptionally brutal as well. It was not... he was covered in... Like, this isn't a maybe he did it, maybe he didn't situation.
Right.
The only solace we can take from this is that if he is tried and convicted prior to the election, he will be ineligible to serve in that position.
Thank goodness for small favors.
Should he be elected.
Also, I thought I read something wacky, and you can probably dip into it a little bit, but what's going on in Kansas?
Yes. Another wacky bill. Local government matters. Keep an eye on your neighborhoods. They are trying to pass an ordinance, in essence, outlawing roommates.
What?
Yeah. Now, this is another soapbox that you and I have chatted through.
Yeah.
That we don't necessarily need to turn into a 5-hour podcast about. But in an effort, they say, to combat rental properties and therefore exorbitant monthly rent rates and things like that, they are disallowing certain scenarios of people living together that are unrelated. And
okay, so if you and I wanted to get an apartment,
yeah,
then what? Because rents are outrageous, and maybe we don't make enough money to get one separately.
And the podcast isn't paying the bills.
Right.
So
Right.
In this one particular town in Kansas, if me, you, and 2 other people, so as of right now, the law is written for 4 people, who are unrelated, they are ineligible to rent a place. And the fine print on that is if one person is unrelated, everybody is considered unrelated. So if you and two of your family members wanted me to move in with you
right.
to cover the rent, that would make us, under this law, all unrelated.
Right. So if I live with my mother and my daughter and then I say, hey, Mike, you're having a hard time of it. Why don't you come and stay with us?
Yeah.
Chip in towards the rent.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. It'll be great.
Right. That becomes illegal
then
in this town in Kansas.
That negates the blood bonds between my mother and my child and myself?
Yes. The strongest of all blood bonds.
How is that even a thing?
Get broken by me.
What is going on in Kansas?
Yeah.
Anyone in Kansas want to email us at mafpodcastshow@gmail.com?
Yeah.
And fill us in on what the heck is going on.
Or any of the Texas listeners about the new education bill that Greg Abbott's trying to pass. Keep an eye on your states, everybody, because we're in a time here where things are going to change rapidly if we're not paying attention, or even if we are paying attention and not speaking loud enough. So,
does anyone else feel like we're headed for a real life Handmaid's Tale?
That is the absolute
under his eye.
Yeah. That is the absolute dream of a certain subset of people.
I just got such chills up my back.
Yeah, it really, I mean, it wasn't written all that long ago.
I mean, I'd have to probably be an aunt, let's face it. So it's not going to be great for me either. You know, I don't want to beat women and force them into submission. Like, that's not my thing.
Well, I'm not of the landed gentry myself, so it wouldn't be the greatest situation for me either, but definitely would be better than it would be for a lot of other people. So we can't let that happen.
All the ladies.
Yeah. Or non-binary or non-Caucasian or so there's a lot to keep an eye out for.
What if we just lop off the western part of the country and the eastern part of the country, and the middle of the country can just be its own thing?
Yep.
Sorry, middle of the country. I don't know what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
But
the country is a mite too large, I think.
I think so. Maybe some states should just be their own thing.
Yeah.
You know? Secede and take care of yourselves out there.
Yep. It's hard to imagine.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine a situation where a unified front can be presented as a cohesive country at this point, because there's a fundamental mismatch here. This isn't a difference of opinion. This is a difference of reality in a lot of situations.
Hey, ladies, let's overturn Roe v. Wade so that the government can force you to have babies that they can then take from you and sell at a profit for, quote, adoption.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. How about we just skip over all of this and go right into the story for this week?
Yeah.
Because I kind of feel like I'm going to get extremely worked up and just start abjectly screaming into the microphone.
Yes. This is a thing that we don't need to get into, but the thing that makes me the angriest about it are the people that are anti-choice, who want to force you to carry the pregnancy, and then they turn around and say, you got pregnant, so you have to raise it. You have to take care of it. You need to be financially responsible for it. That was one of the considerations that made me want to consider maybe stopping.
Right.
It's just the abject just disconnect between all of these various thoughts they have in their heads, these anti-choice people. Because I refuse to call them pro-life, because they are not by any stretch pro-life. But all of the anti-choice people who just have all of these contradictions just floating around in their head, it exasperates me.
It's a rough time to be alive on this planet.
I mean, and it's a worse time to be a woman, and I don't know what to do about it.
Well, I think we all just need to stick together and Don't take it lying down.
Yes.
And on that note...
Yeah, we'll jump right into our story this week. It is one that is a little bit more well-known. It is a serial killer.
Hooray!
He is not the most prolific of serial killers. You know, he doesn't have the body count that some of the more quote-unquote famous ones do. Mm-hmm. But there is a bit of a wrinkle to his spree that makes it unique and worth talking about.
Let's do it.
This is the story of Joseph Kallinger. Joseph Kallinger was born Joseph Brenner III in 1936 in Philadelphia. His birth...
Oh, I love an olden time serial killer.
Yes.
Where was he born, Michael?
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Ah.
In 1936.
Land of my favorite cream cheese.
Yeah, there's no other cream cheese. Philadelphia.
I mean,
Philadelphia or bust.
Do other companies even make cream cheese? I don't even know. I don't think so. And if they do...
Yeah, they
Fuck
can't.
you guys.
They shouldn't be able to call
Get
it
outta
cream
here.
cheese. You should call it white cheese brick. His
White
birth
cheese fluff spread.
His birth parents gave him up for adoption not long after, and in 1938, so at the age of 2, Joseph was adopted by Stephen and Anna Kallinger. The Kallingers had emigrated from Austria, but how they raised Joseph can't be blamed on cultural differences.
Oh, wait a minute. What?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Joseph was severely abused when he was growing up.
Why would you adopt a child? Hey, this is not a throw. Hey, Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
Hey, let's keep these children, adopt them out to these abusive ass. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Stop. I'm stopping.
You get the connection there?
I'm stopping.
He would be flogged, beaten with a hammer, forced to kneel on jagged rocks, and even was threatened with castration regularly.
No wonder he turned out to be a serial killer.
Yeah. When he was just 9 years old, Joseph was raped at knife point by a group of older boys from his neighborhood. The knife would imprint on Joseph's sexuality and become a big piece of his fantasy life.
Oh, jeez. That's not a turn on for me.
No.
No, thank you.
I'm not going to dive too deep into it.
No, thank you.
Obviously, the constant abuse gave Joseph a rebellious streak, which perpetuated more abuse as punishment.
Well, yes.
Joseph dreamed beyond his situation, wanting to become a playwright. His involvement with his high schools...
Joseph.
Yeah, he's...
dreams.
Yeah. Broadway.
His involvement... My name in lights.
Yeah. Well, he did, just not for that reason.
Yeah.
His involvement with his high school's theater program led him to meet Hilda Bergman, whom he started a relationship with when they were both 15.
She sounds like a dish.
I just think of Ingrid Bergman, and that's,
That does it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course
Can't beat her.
No.
His strict parents forbid them from being together, but when they turned 17, they got married and eventually had 2 children.
Hey, they did a little elopement against their parents' wishes. We all know. Everybody likes to do stuff like that. Do I? Yes, I do.
Admitting to nothing, suggesting many things.
You know me so well.
In September of 1956, so 3 years into their marriage, Hilda abandoned Joseph and the kids for another man. No, more bad luck for Joseph.
Come on, girl.
Less than a year later, Joseph ended up in the hospital for a suspected brain lesion, but testing confirmed he was suffering from a psychopathological nervous disorder.
Oh, no. Well, probably from being knocked in the head with a hammer a couple hundred times as a kid, you think?
The constant abuse and now the abandonment by somebody he seemed to have a good relationship with.
The rapes
well, not a good
at knife point. I mean...
Yeah. Like, he had a lot of...
I don't think he's going to grow up completely... well-adjusted.
Now, before you start feeling bad for Joseph, I'll skip to the end of the story and tell you that he was arrested for murder among myriad other charges.
Okay.
His is the classic backstory of most serial killers.
I can still feel bad for baby and child Joseph.
His is the classic backstory for most serial killers, so it's important to give the context, but it certainly doesn't rationalize what he ended up doing. No. But had he been adequately taken care of...
Maybe this would never have happened.
Correct. All right, back to it. Not long after getting out of the hospital, Joseph met a woman who he would later make his second wife in April 1958. Shortly thereafter, Joseph set fire to his own house. So if you're keeping track of the triad, there's the pyromania manifesting. He did this ostensibly for his own enjoyment, but he ended up collecting $1,600 from insurance.
There was a kid in the neighborhood of the lady that used to babysit us.
Yes.
Okay.
Next to
And
the alleged kidnapper.
Next to the, alleged, well, she wasn't alleged.
Attempted
She was an
kidnapper.
attempted
Yes.
kidnapper. Her daughter's house, yes. And he would set houses on fire.
Great.
Like his own houses. Like they moved to the neighborhood that lady lived in because he had burned down the previous house.
This started a pretty disturbing cycle. He set 4 more fires on the family's new house, twice in May 1963, once in August 1965, and once more in October 1967. Preceding these attempts, Joseph had been again committed to the hospital after a suicide attempt.
This poor guy is all messed up.
He was not in a good way. By 1972, the Kallingers had 6 children at home, including the 2 from Joseph's first marriage.
That's a lot of kids.
That's
for,
a lot of kids.
Somebody with mental illness.
Yes. On January 23rd of that year, Joseph branded his oldest daughter's thigh with a hot iron as punishment for running away.
Oh, come on, dude.
Perpetuating the abuse, of course. Yep. Arrested a week later, he was found incompetent for trial and held for 60 days for psychological examination, and then ultimately later ruled fit for trial in June.
How did that decision come about? I mean, he's clearly... You can't say, well, he's got this mental disability, but I think right now...
Well, it has nothing to do with his state of mind at the time of the crime. It's can you presently participate in your own defense.
Whatever you said, like psychotic, some kind of sociopathy going on, and that this behavior doesn't sound normal.
Well, apparently 60 days worth of treatment straightened him out enough to be brought to trial.
I mean, I guess when you have a baby, they pretty much send you home the same day, so I guess that doesn't surprise me.
He was convicted on child abuse charges and got 4 years probation with a provision for mandatory psychiatric treatment for that time period.
Okay.
It was during this period of probation and supposed treatment that Joseph actually lost control. Had the opposite effect.
Oh, no.
In 1974, he started hallucinating constantly. He would have full and robust conversations with a disembodied head that he named Charlie.
Can you imagine, like, this guy's your friend, and then all of a sudden...
Yeah, something snapped in him.
Talking to, like, what he thinks is just a floating head that just follows him around, I guess.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, buddy, what you doing? And he's like, oh, me and Charlie are just going to go down to the pier and, take in the scenery.
We're going to go chuck old car tires
into
the
creek. And you're
like,
who's Charlie? And he's just like, oh, just this floating head by my side. He's always with me. He's one of my dearest and most loyal friends. And you're like, there's no one there, bud.
No, I know. He's just a floating head. Me and Charlie, don't worry.
And then you're like, okay, well, I'm never going to see you again. Goodbye.
Well,
because you're going to kill me. You're obviously going to kill me, so goodbye.
He was also getting orders from God.
Aren't we all, though?
Yeah. Like you do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. You don't?
Strangely.
Oh, well, you wouldn't, would you?
No, I would not know.
I mean, who would you get messages from, though, if you were to get one?
Moses.
Go. Okay. Yeah.
Strangely.
Good old Mosey.
Yeah. Mosey on down to Moses Town. Strangely, those orders usually centered around killing young boys and cutting off their genitals.
Oh, God told him to do that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
he did
which God was he talking to? Because he did tell Abraham to kill his only son.
Yep.
So,
it's true.
I mean, sometimes God wilds out.
Well, even more strangely, Joseph asked his then 13-year-old son, Michael, to help with the mission.
Oh, no. No.
And even more strangely than that, Michael responded with enthusiasm, quote, glad to do it, Dad.
No, he didn't. Come on. How is that? How is a 13-year-old going, yeah, that sounds pretty cool, actually. Like, I'd love to do that.
They didn't have the most stable of childhoods.
Yes, but, I mean, some of us didn't have the most stable of childhoods at certain times in our lives, and I don't think if someone asked me to cut up young children's genitals, I would have been amenable to
They
that,
would have
Michael.
been like his age, because
Yeah, my friend's.
Yeah.
Hi, can I mutilate your friend's genitals? Want to help me? Like,
Well,
good God.
we'll get into that, but
Oh, jeez.
11 days later, they murdered Jose Colazo, a Puerto Rican boy. They tortured him first and then did cut off his penis.
Oh, no. Jose. No way, Jose.
Yeah, unfortunately for Jose. Emboldened by a successful divine mission.
A divine mission. Don't call it that.
That's what it was to him.
Don't call it that.
Joseph looked closer to home for his next victim.
If you say one of his brothers or sisters...
Joseph was now determined to kill his younger son, Joseph Jr.
His namesake, even?
Yes. In his first attempt, he tried...
His first attempt?
Yes.
How many times did he try to kill this kid?
I'll tell you. In his first attempt, he tried to make his son back off a cliff while posing for a picture.
Oh, you shit burger.
Yeah. When that didn't work, he took both Joseph Jr. and Michael along with him to commit one of his arsons.
So now he's teaching them to set fire to things?
This time, he was going to try and trap
No.
Joseph Jr. inside
No.
a trailer as he burned it.
No. Oh, my God. That is like... Oh, God.
That didn't work
Can you imagine
either.
burning to death?
That's... of all the ways to die, that is at the absolute
God.
top of the ways I do not want to go.
That has to be
So painful,
the
so...
worst
Yeah.
thing.
Because it's not fast. It's...
No.
Yeah.
How can you do that to your own son?
Luckily...
See, listen, Big Joseph, I was feeling sorry for you as a kid, but now, I mean...
Yeah.
Oh...
That didn't work either.
I have the chills.
He got out. The final attempt happened just 3 days later when Joseph and Michael took matters into their own hands. They were done with this like accidental kind of thing. The father-son killers drowned Joseph Jr. at a demolition site.
Jesus
They took him out there and then
and just
held him
drowned them
under.
together and then like high-fived each other and walked away? Like what?
Yeah, it was not healthy.
Brutal.
The body was found by authorities about a week later. Questioned as a suspect in the murder, neither Joseph nor Michael were ever arrested due to lack of evidence.
So they were questioned, but that was it.
Right.
I mean...
And that was probably just because they were family.
Right. Just doing SOP.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Only a few months later, Joseph was getting more directives from the Almighty.
Yeah, I'm... Okay. These people always say, God told me to do it, as if authorities are going to go, well, I mean, guys, God told him to do it. I mean, can we really charge him with it? I mean, what do you think? I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, it is God, so can we override God?
Yeah, it's weird.
What are they...
It's weird that you hear more about the guys that say, God commanded me to kill, rather than God commanded me to give away all of my earthly possessions and help the needy for the rest of my life.
Right.
You don't really hear so many of those.
So many people go, you know, God really reached out to me and yeah, I'm gonna work for a mission. I'm gonna work in a mission. I'm gonna feed homeless. I'm gonna build houses for was that Houses for Humanity or whatever?
Habitat for Humanity.
Habitat for Humanity. Yeah.
It happens.
Nobody says that.
It happens. I'm sure it happens. It's just it doesn't seem to be as prevalent as the killing.
Right. Right. Well, God is a vindictive God, is he not? Well,
depends which
God we're talking about here.
This time, so they were emboldened by getting away with this, but they decided not
they think
to.
They're like wicked cool now.
Yeah, they decided to not continue that risk though, and they were going to look outside of the immediate area for their next spree here. In November 1974, the two left Pennsylvania for Linwood, New Jersey. No one was home at the first house they stopped at, so they burgled it and moved on. Unfortunately, Joan Carty was home when Joseph and Michael broke in to her house.
Oh, no.
They tied her to the bed, and Joseph sexually abused her. Not Michael.
Why are you getting your son involved? This is so gross.
Less than 2 weeks later, back in Pennsylvania, they took 5 people hostage at knife point.
The son and the dad.
The son and the dad. A 13-year-old son. I don't know how big he was, at the time. You can get some pretty big 13-year-olds.
At 13, I was a little pipsqueak.
Yeah.
But
they made off with $20,000 in cash and jewelry.
What the heck? Who are these 6 people? They gathered together. That was a pretty lucrative haul.
Yeah. Their next stop was Homeland, Maryland. Here they sexually assaulted Pamela Jaski at gunpoint. And just after the new year in 1975, they assaulted Mary Rudolph at her home in Dumont, New Jersey.
Meaning
they,
both?
Both.
Come on.
So they're going all over Pennsylvania,
really
Maryland.
This is like a nice
New Jersey.
father-son road trip.
Yeah.
They're really bonding, Mike, They're really cementing their relationship.
Only 2 days later, on January 8th, Joseph and Michael invaded a home in Leonia, New Jersey, holding 8 captives at gunpoint while they ransacked the house.
If there's 8 guys, if there's 8 of you, and there is one guy with a gun, even if he goes to shoot, he can only shoot one person at a time.
Yep.
So, and if everybody charges at the same time, most likely he's going to miss anyway.
Yep.
Can we not try and defend ourselves a little bit here, please?
One of those 8 was Maria Fashing. She had stopped at the house to aid an elderly neighbor and friend, but was taken to the basement, tied up, sexually assaulted, and ended up dead.
She didn't even live there.
No.
Oh, man.
She ended up dead when she refused the order to bite off a male hostage's penis.
Ugh, oh, no. It's like that horror movie that I accidentally saw as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. It was Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
Oh, no, Michael. Why are you doing this? Oh, God. I'm going to have nightmares now. Guys, okay.
I believe Mother's Day is on Shudder if anybody would like to stream
nobody
that.
wants to see it. No one wants to see it. Guys, I accidentally woke up in the middle of the night when I was a kid. I had to be, oh my God, that movie had to come out in like maybe 82 or 3 or something.
Early 80s.
Like early 80s. So I was only like maybe 6 or something. And it was at the time when if you had cable, you had like... I don't even know if it was Preview back then or you could only get like HBO. But whatever it was, the movie would play, whatever movie it was, would play over and over again, just on a loop. And there were only like maybe 4 new movies a month or for that week or whatever. And I accidentally woke up in the middle of the night, probably because I had a nightmare.
Yeah.
And then I stroll into the living room where my mom had fallen asleep on the couch with the TV on. And so I just curled up on a chair and decided to like sleep in there because I didn't want to go back in my room because I had had a nightmare. So I was already scared to like be in there.
Great. Oh, what's this movie called? Mother's Day? That sounds nice.
You're right. And then all of a sudden these people are like out by a lake and there's a cabin. And then before you know it,
That cabin.
it's a nightmarish scenario where the girl is about to be like sexually assaulted and instead she bites off this dude's junk.
Yeah.
And I was traumatized.
Yeah.
And I still am to this day. And now that's all I'm going to think about until I actually force myself into a nightmare. Well, I'm going to have a nightmare this week and it's going to be her fault. And if I wake up at 3 a.m, guess who's getting a phone call?
Great. Mm-hmm. Going to sleep with it on silent. Here we go.
No, you won't. No, you won't. You better not.
I won't. Fleeing the scene after killing Maria, Joseph and Michael jumped on the bus. In addition to using public transport for their super secret getaway, Joseph got careless and tossed a bloody shirt near the scene.
Joseph, get your shit together. Come on, man.
Yeah. Investigators traced the shirt to its owner, found out about Joseph's history of domestic violence, Joseph Jr.'s unsolved death, and a series of arsons targeted against buildings he just happened to own.
Right.
So his web was untangling here.
I mean, at least the cops were doing a little detective work. They weren't just like, well, we don't know. The kid went missing. He probably ran away.
The Kallingers were arrested on January 17th by a collection of federal and state authorities On
They just
kidnapping.
swarmed them like they,
Yes.
Oh, nice. I like that.
On kidnapping and rape charges, and eventually charged with 3 counts of murder in New Jersey.
Yes, good.
Kallinger pleaded insanity, claiming God had told him to do it.
Fuck off.
He was found sane, however, and sentenced to life in prison on October 14th, 1976.
Well, that was one.
Michael Kallinger just barely won.
Oh, it was just barely, yeah.
Michael Kallinger was ruled delinquent but, quote, salvageable.
I doubt that. He's going to grow up to also be a serial killer.
With murder charges dismissed in exchange for his guilty plea on 2 counts of robbery.
Dismissed for robbery. Are you out of your mind? Let the robbery charges go and charge him with the murders.
Yeah.
What are you saying? Who the fuck is the judge?
Someone with a soft heart, I guess. I don't know.
Bullshit. Do your duty to the community. What are you saying?
I mean, if
charge you on the robbery. Who gives a shit about that? We're talking about multiple rapes and murders here.
If his enthusiasm for participation was what it's purported to be, with his let's do it, Dad, kind of thing.
He was so into it.
Then mitigating circumstances should only take you so far. If he was more reluctant,
if his dad put a knife to his throat and
Yeah.
said, "You're going to help me with this, or I'm going to slice your throat," then I would say, let's let that go and we'll get him on the robbery.
Right.
Because at least we can get him on something.
Right.
Maybe
Get him
we
some
can
help.
scare him straight. But if he's like super gung-ho, like, hell yes, Pop,
yeah,
let's do it. You know?
give me that whetstone. I'm gonna sharpen these knives.
Like, I mean,
yeah,
what are we doing here?
Right. Well, he was sent to a reformatory and was released at the age of 21, and he moved out of the state and changed his name. So we don't know if he stayed out of trouble because we don't have the names connected. But,
right. I guarantee you he did not. I guarantee you he did not. I'm losing my voice because I'm screaming and my allergies are on fire.
While in prison, Joseph made several suicide attempts, including attempting to set himself on fire.
Good. I'm not mad about it. Oh, that he couldn't succeed at?
Yeah. Because of his suicidal and violent behavior, Joseph was moved to multiple different mental health hospitals during his incarceration. Joseph Kallinger died of an epileptic seizure on March 26, 1996.
That can't be a great way to die, though.
No, but he was born in 1936 and died in 1996. So he lived to the age of about 60.
60.
He spent the last 11 years of his life on
I like
suicide
rounded
watch.
numbers. I like same numbers. It makes the math so much easier. I was like, 60.
60.
I got it.
So he spent the last 11 years of his life on suicide watch.
I mean, at that point, just let him do it.
Yeah. And that was the story of Joseph Kallinger. Now, he is also known, if you want to look into some more of the specific details of the grisliness of some of these attacks.
You macabre little bastards.
Yeah. He also is known by the moniker The Shoemaker. There was a book written about him named The Shoemaker. He was a cobbler, so it obviously fits. He is sometimes confused with Jerry Brudos, the lust killer, because he was sexually obsessed with shoes, and this guy made shoes.
Oh.
They're not the same person. The stories are very different.
I don't think I heard the story of the other guy. No, I don't think I've ever heard of him.
Oh, okay. Well, I've skipped over telling Jerry Brudos' story for a while, assuming you would have heard of him, but you have not, I will dive deep into the Jerry Brudos wormhole.
Yes, please. And fuck this guy.
Yes. So,
and I'll say like half fuck off
Yeah.
to his son because, but come on, kid. I mean, you do know right from wrong though. It wasn't like maybe his dad who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe his dad did force him into it and he was like, well, I better go along with it or he's going to fucking kill me.
yeah, we don't know. But this ties into the theme of our last about month here between Sylvia Likens and Sarah Lawrence, that
Who are these dads, man? Dads out there, do better.
yeah,
Do better. The heck's going on?
one dad starts a cult, one dad abandons his daughter to an abusive house so he can join the carnival.
Right.
And now this one makes his son join him on
A rape
murderous
and killing
missions from
spree.
gods.
I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
it's
Come on, dads.
not the best. But, all of these people, Banashevsky, Kallinger, and Larry Ray, all probably could have done with some mental health treatment.
Yeah, you think?
And a lot of this stuff probably could have been prevented. Maybe it wasn't the best idea to unilaterally defund and close all of the mental institutions in the 80s.
You know what's interesting? All three of those people
Yes.
were abandoned.
Yes.
So I think that abandonment is probably a very key trigger
Yes.
to people growing up to be a little bit crooked.
Yeah. I mean, if this is an attention-seeking behavior.
I mean, I'm not a psychologist, Mike, and I don't play one on TV, but it doesn't take a genius to put two and two together.
Yeah. And, trying not to get political with anything here is damn near impossible in this day and age. But, I don't think it's overly political to say, just pay attention. If somebody looks like they may need some help, let's maybe try to suggest them into some help.
Yeah. Let's just look out for each other.
Yeah. It's not that
hard.
Yeah, it's
hard.
not an outrageous concept.
No. It's not that hard. Hey, how about God telling everyone to look out for your neighbor and do unto others as you would have them done unto you?
Yeah.
Oh, no, he's too busy telling people to kill everybody. Oh, well.
Yeah, well,
Well, Mike, until next week, if hopefully I don't have any nightmares, because if I do, then suddenly I'm also going to have a secret mission from God to come to your house and hack you to bits. So.
All right, well, maybe until next time. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Happy Mother's Day, guys.
And also watch Mother's Day if you haven't and you are a
Don't watch
macabre little freak.
Don't watch it.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, and don't watch Mother's Day because you will be traumatized for life. Goodbye.
But it also kind of kicks ass.
Goodbye.